none of the theaters in my hometown got Legend. But we did get another movie that was first released in the UK, only later to come to the US, and that is Suffragette. So Suffragette is a true story film that is set in 1912. There's a movement going on that's trying to get London to allow women to vote, among other things. We get to see it through the eyes of mainly one woman played by Carey Mulligan, who originally isn't part of this movement and suddenly gets swept into it and becomes a pretty large part to it. And similar to other plenty of true story movies based off of civil rights movements, yeah, things can get really desperate and really violent. First off, this is a very well acted, very well directed, and good looking movie. Carey Mulligan is really great as our lead actress, and you might remember her from Drive, The Great Gatsby, and a few other movies. She wasn't one that I knew too well about. I've seen all the movies a lot of the movies that she's in, but I just don't remember her in those movies. But she was really good in this one, and so was Helena Bonham Carter, which she wasn't playing a crazy person in this one for a change, and that's nice. Of course, Meryl Streep is in it as well, and she's only in one scene. So if she gets nominated for supporting actress for this movie, then you know something is rigged. She's in one scene. One scene. And then our main girl, the girl's name is Maud in the movie, but she's married to a guy that looks so familiar and I couldn't quite place him. He almost looked like a Justin Long with the mustache when he does the mustache in a few movies. But of course it's not Justin Long, it's the guy who plays the new Q in the Daniel Craig James Bond films. Yeah, he was really good in this movie, and I was a little surprised. He showed a lot of different things that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Hell, even the child actor was really, really great in this film, and that's hard to do. Like, he was epically great in the heartbreaking scene that I'm not going to spoil. Now, of course, this is a period piece. You got to look at the costume designs and the set designs. They become more apparent for those kind of movies, and it looked really good. It looked like a classic London. It looked gritty. It looked nasty. It almost looked like a Les Mis, just London. And the gritty nastiness of the whole thing, it just emphasizes the situations that these women are in, or at least our main girl. I would not want to be a woman and working at the job she works at, because I wasn't ready for that. Let's just say it's nothing drastic, graphic, or anything like that. It's just the implications are there, and if you think about it, it's just that boss is nasty. Now, before the movie starts, you get a bunch of subtitles and a little bit of an intro on the situation of the time period and what this movie's going to be about. You almost didn't need that, though, because the intro explains that they have tried years to just pass the law peacefully, and these women have tried to get government to pass the law through peaceful means, by talking, by testifying. And you do see a little bit of that at the beginning of the film, because somehow, through circumstances that I won't spoil, our main girl gets swept into it and has to be the one to testify, and then all hell breaks loose when the law, of course, is not passed. But yeah, in the intro, they say that they tried peacefully for years, but then it doesn't work, and so they have to go through desperate measures to cause violence, break windows, do some almost terrorist-type things. And because you see it through the women's perspective, it makes sense why they have to do it and the desperate times. And yeah, you totally root for them, but you can kind of understand why the policemen are trying to stop it. But at the same time, you do hate them because they're representing the people that are keeping them from voting and keeping them from having equal rights. And so it's a bit of a complex situation. Now, ultimately, I did kind of like the husband that our main girl is married to. And yeah, I thought Ben Whishaw did a really good performance for that character, because this guy does something so terrible, so just, oh my god, I can't believe you just did that, that he could have easily been one of the most hated characters in the entire film. And you still could feel that way, but there was something about his performance that made him a little bit more sympathetic than your average, I'm the douchebag husband that's going to do something terrible, which is going to ruin the main girl's life. Like, you can see it in his eyes. He's sort of struggling with this whole endeavor because he's trying to be traditional, he's trying to be the man of the house, and trying to abide by the law that these women shouldn't have the fight for their right to vote and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, he kind of sympathizes for him in his eyes. Like, there's sympathy in his eyes, even though his actions contradict that. And there was something sympathetic about him, and I think it's just the actor's really good performance. This is a really good film. There's a few scenes in there that are heartbreaking and I wasn't ready for. It is both incredible and sad to see some of these situations really did happen, and at the very end of the film it is really sad and just enlightening when it shows when women had the right to vote or when the law was passed in different countries and the year, and to show what the most recent one was and how recent it was is quite mind-boggling. But even though I still really liked this film, I can't help but feel a little disappointed by it because when I watched the trailer, I'm like, okay, this is going to be epic. It's probably not going to be as good as Selma, but it's going to be in that same quality. But it really isn't for me. The movie overall felt a little too safe for its own good. Yes, there's things that happen in it that are crazy. There are things that put certain things into great perspective. But there was something a little more safe and a little less violent than it could have been. But then again, that's just my opinion. You might have a very different opinion if you see this movie. So yeah, I really liked The Suffragette. I'm going to give it 4 stars. So have you seen Suffragette? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment. If you haven't seen Suffragette, then what is your favorite civil rights type movie? Whether it's for women, for blacks, for gays, some sort of civil rights movement movie. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.